For 10 years, my love for Chloe Sullivan was the most pathetic thing about me. Her heart, however, was always occupied by another man. On the day we were supposed to go to City Hall and finally make it official, she saw his ghost in a crowd and chased after him, leaving me stranded in a sea of unforgiving traffic. A horn blared. In the final moments before my consciousness faded, Chloe still hadn't looked back. After that, I started to pull away, to erase myself from her life. And suddenly, that was the one thing she wouldn't allow. 1. The side effects of the accident lingered, a ghost in my machine. It was as if the crash had knocked the very capacity to love Chloe out of me. An impatient voice cut through my thoughts. Ethan, what are you spacing out for? Let's go. I snapped back to reality. Chloe was already in her coat, grabbing her purse by the door. I didn't move. I was done trying to force her to be with me. More than that, I was done forcing myself. I'm not going. Chloe didn't seem to hear me, her movements to put on her shoes never pausing. I knew she'd heard, of course. She just couldn't be bothered to acknowledge it. I raised my voice, the sound sharp in the quiet apartment. I said, I'm not going. That finally got a reaction. She turned, her face a mask of annoyance. Ethan, what are you trying to pull now? Getting the license was your idea, the one you begged me for. Now you're suddenly flaking out? Do you get some kind of sick thrill from messing with me? Faced with her anger, I felt a strange, unnerving calm. I'm not messing with you. I'm really not going. Not today, not ever. Her gaze turned to ice. Ethan, I'm ordering you to take that back. We're leaving right now. It used to be that whatever Chloe said, I did. I was always the good-natured one, the one who would do anything to avoid upsetting her. But not this time. This time, I didn't care if she was upset, if she was furious. Chloe, I said, my voice even, let's break up. She looked at me, a smirk playing on her lips. Ethan, are you serious right now? I didn't answer, just held her gaze. My silence was my confirmation. She stared at me for a few seconds, then shrugged, a gesture of careless dismissal. Fine, you said it, not me. Just do me a favor and explain it to my parents yourself, so they don't think I'm the one throwing a tantrum again. She paused at the door. But you'll never get another chance to play games with me like this. That's right, I thought. And I'll never give you another chance to hurt me. 2. The door slammed shut with a deafening crack, a final punctuation mark on her anger. We should have signed the papers a month ago, before the accident. But everything was derailed because Chloe, while we were stopped at a red light, saw a familiar figure on the street. Ethan, look. Doesn't that look just like Leo? Leo Foster. The man who had occupied a space in Chloe's heart for a decade. Yeah, I'd said. A little. Before I could say more, she stomped on the gas, chasing him through the intersection as the light turned red. I grabbed the handle above the door. Chloe, slow down. You just ran a red. You're going way too fast. This is dangerous. She ignored me, her eyes fixed on the man walking down the sidewalk. Chloe, calm down. It's just someone who looks like him. It's probably not even Leo. But she was certain. I could never mistake him for someone else. Chloe. Before I could finish, she slammed on the brakes. Get out. A chill went through me. What are you talking about? You're being annoying, she snapped, her eyes burning with frustration. Get out of the car. Cars behind us started honking, their blares mirroring the frantic beating in my chest. Under her increasingly hostile glare, I finally gave in and opened the door. The moment I was out, her car shot forward, speeding to catch up and drive parallel to the man on the sidewalk. By the time I came to my senses, the screech of tires was right in front of me. The crowd erupted in screams of panic and horror. Right up until the moment everything went black, Chloe never once looked back. I spent the next month in the hospital. The number of times she visited I could count on one hand. After I was discharged, under pressure from her father, Mr. Sullivan, she brought up getting our marriage license again. But me? I didn't want it anymore. 3. My family life was a mess when I was a kid. I was always the one getting picked on, made fun of. It was Chloe who always stood up for me, who protected me without a second thought. She told me not to be afraid, that I hadn't done anything wrong. I found the courage to stand by her side, to try and become someone worthy of her. I just never imagined we'd end up like this. The ringing of my phone shattered the silence in the room. I put on speaker, and my friend Ryan's boisterous voice filled the air. Dude, Ethan, you're not going to believe what I just saw. You almost lost your best bro. Right after you, man. There was another pile-up on the road outside City Hall. A truck driver fell asleep at the wheel. It was a total bloodbath, man. Absolutely insane. He paused for dramatic effect. And you'll never guess who I saw in the middle of it all. Your half-brother, Leo Foster. Leo Foster, right? Leo was my half-brother. Now, a voice came from behind me. I instinctively ended the call and spun around. Chloe was standing there. She must have come back for the phone she'd left on the entryway table. Her face was ashen. Did Ryan just say Leo was in a car accident? After a long moment, I nodded, confirming what she'd heard. The front door slammed shut for the second time. Seeing Ryan's name pop up on my phone again, try and call me back, I almost laughed. What was I even trying to hide? I'd already decided to let her go. 4. I heard Leo's injuries were severe. Both of his kidneys were damaged. He needed a transplant, and fast. The next time I saw Chloe, her eyes were swollen and red. I couldn't help but remember what she looked like when I was in the hospital. Indifferent, distant. The difference was so stark, so obvious. It was foolish of me to have ever pretended otherwise. Ethan, you have to come with me to get tested. Seeing her so haggard and frantic, a pang of pity shot through me. But this anguish wasn't for me. It was for another man. Tested for what? I asked. To save Leo, of course, she said, as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. His mom and I already got tested. We weren't a match. You're the only one left. Her words felt like a shard of ice driving straight into my heart. So that's what I was. The last resort. The spare part you only look for when all other options are exhausted. When the hell did I, Ethan Pierce, ever mean to her? What makes you think I have any obligation to save Leo Foster? Chloe frowned, genuinely confused. He's your brother. Are you just going to stand by and watch him die? A hot surge of anger rose in my chest, and for the first time, I unleashed it on her. His last name is Foster. Mine is Pierce. What kind of brother does that make me? My shouting stunned her into silence. Ethan, how can you be so cold-blooded? Even if you were a complete stranger, you wouldn't have to be so heartless. I really misjudged you. Her undisguised disappointment was a needle, sharp and cruel, plunging into my heart. She knew how strained my relationship with that family was. And still, she didn't care about my feelings in the slightest. All our years together meant less than him. You're right, you did misjudge me, I said flatly. I've never been some selfless, magnanimous saint. Her eyes filled with tears, a hint of desperation in them. Ethan, if you're doing this because of me, then I'm sorry. I'm begging you, please, just help him. She took a shaky breath. You wanted to marry me, right? I'll do it. I promise. If you save him, I'll agree to anything you want. Anything. The one thing I had longed for so many years. And now, she was offering it up so easily, all for Leo. The irony was crushing. Watching her, willing to do anything for him, I finally understood. Some people don't have to do anything. They just have to exist, and they've already won. That was Leo. Everything I fought for, he got without trying. Chloe once told me that Leo was the star that lit up her entire adolescence. She fell for him and never found her way out. It didn't matter that he'd had a string of girlfriends over the years, that he barely kept in touch with her. He was always number one in her heart. No one else stood a chance. You should go, Chloe, I said, my voice hollow. I'm not going to save him. 5. I went to see Leo anyway, making sure to avoid Chloe and his mother. He looked terrible, but when he saw me, he managed the same unguarded smile I always remembered. Ethan, you came. I'm really glad to see you, man. I suddenly felt like Chloe was right. I was cold and petty. Someone like Leo was infinitely more likable than me. When I was 8, my father declared he was done with me and dumped me on the Foster's doorstep. It was the first time we met. I was terrified of my new surroundings. He was curious about the strange new kid. Leo, only 2 years younger than me, took my hand. You must be the brother my mom told me about, he'd said. He wanted me to share his room, to play with all the toys I'd never had. But his mother didn't like me. I overheard them talking in another room. Leo, honey, has your brother been mean to you? She'd said. Don't worry. Mommy will figure out a way to send him back soon. He won't be bothering you for long. I wanted to tell her that I hadn't bothered him, that I hadn't done anything wrong. But an 8-year-old already has pride. The next time I saw him was in high school. I recognized him immediately, the popular, outgoing kid in the center of every crowd. I deliberately kept my distance, treating him with a cool indifference. but he was always relentlessly friendly toward me, calling me bro whether I responded or not. He even told me he'd worked his ass off to get into the same high school, just so we could be together. I had to admit it. In my heart, I'd never really been able to hate Leo. Leaving Leo's room, I ran straight into his mother. Years had passed, but the awkwardness between us was thicker than it would be with a stranger. We stood in silence. I had nothing to say to her. I figured the feeling was mutual. Ethan, my feet stopped. I always pretended to be indifferent, but a part of me always yearned. Ethan, I'm sorry for how things were with you all those years. It was an apology for circumstance, not for her actions. I knew exactly where I stood with her. You don't have to be, I said. I'm Fina. That's good. The silence stretched again. I knew she had more to say. Now, he's always been so fond of you. He really loves having you as a brother. She finally got to the point. The doctors say his situation is critical. I was hoping that you would help him. I already knew. She wasn't my mother. She was Leo's mother. A parent's love is absolute. They'll do anything for their child, especially something as minor as asking a favor of the son she couldn't stand. It was only natural. It's not just me who can help him, I said. If they find a suitable donor, he can live a perfectly healthy life. Her composure crumbled, but the success rate is so much higher between siblings. Her voice broke, and the elegant woman I remembered was gone, slumping to the floor. And who knows how long it will take to find a donor. What if something happens in the meantime? I can't bear to even think about it. She looked up at me, her eyes pleading. Please, try to understand what it's like to be a mother. I can't risk losing him. Understand a mother's heart. I've been trying to understand hers for almost 30 years. But when had she ever spared a fraction of the love she gave Leo for me? When I was a kid, I watched my father hit her. I told myself she was suffering, that she loved me but was trapped. But then I saw how she defended Leo time and time again while ignoring me completely. That's when I understood. She hated my father, and she hated me for being his son. Faced with her desperate pleas, I was cold once more. I refused. As I walked away, her shouts followed me down the hall. Ethan Pierce, you're just like your father. Selfish and heartless. Did it hurt? I suppose it did. But you get stabbed enough times, you eventually go numb. Bro, you've always been a really, really good person in my book. I know they probably came to you, but I don't want you to be in a tough spot. My life's not over yet. I've got good luck on my side. What's more important to me is that you're healthy and happy. I tossed and turned all night, Leo's words from that day replaying in my head. He said we hadn't been brothers for long enough, that he wouldn't die that easily. He told me not to worry, but his mom and Chloe both said I was cold-blooded and heartless. Where did he get the idea that I was worried about him? I went to the hospital and got tested. I left the results up to fate. A month later, Leo was recovering well. He called and asked me to visit. When I got to the hospital, Chloe was there. Her expression was so cold, you'd think we were mortal enemies, not two people who had almost shared a life together. Ethan, Leo already got a kidney from a kind donor. What are you doing here now? She asked, her voice dripping with sarcasm. Here to gloat? Or are you hoping we'll beg you again? Sorry, you missed your chance. Her taunts felt like 1,000 ants crawling over my heart, a dull, persistent ache that wouldn't let up. I didn't come here for you to beg me. It was the only thing you ever asked of me, and the one time I said no. But I did it anyway. You just don't know it, and you don't need to. Chloe was about to say more, but Leo cut her off with a pained groan, and her attention snapped to him. In an instant, it was like I wasn't even in the room. She rushed to his bedside, her voice laced with panic. What's wrong? Where does it hurt? Is it your incision? I'll get the doctor. Leo gently stopped her hand as she tried to lift his blanket. Don't worry, it doesn't hurt anymore, he said softly. Chloe, I actually asked my brother to come. I wanted to tell him about us. My heart gave a violent lurch. A sour, bitter taste filled my mouth. Watching the way he looked at her, the way she looked at him, there was nothing left to misunderstand. Bro, Leo began, looking at me. I am sorry. Having a brush with death made me realize a lot of things. Chloe has liked me for so many years. I don't want to pretend I don't like her back anymore. I want to give this a try. Give her a chance, and give myself one too. He held my gaze, his face pale, but his eyes shining with a new resolve. You'll be happy for us, right, bro? I knew it was coming, but hearing it out loud was still a punch to the gut. So he liked her all these years, too. He was just pretending not to, because of me. The adoration in Chloe's eyes was overflowing. All I felt was the sting. Congratulations, Chloe. You finally got what you wanted. While she was out getting the doctor, my composure finally cracked. I turned to leave, but Leo's voice stopped me. Bro, he said quietly. I know that kind donor was you. Thank you. My blood ran cold. There are no words to describe how I felt in that moment. But Chloe was someone I had already decided to let go of. They were happy together. It was none of my business anymore. Hey, Ethan, man, stop drinking. You've had enough. What's gotten into you today? You ask me out for a drink, then you start pounding them back like there's no tomorrow. Don't you have that alcohol allergy? The image of Chloe and Leo looking at each other so lovingly was seared into my brain. It wasn't enough. It still wasn't enough. They say you can drown your sorrows, but the more I drank, the more they seemed to float to the surface. Ryan, I slurred, do you think in all these years there was ever a part of her that liked me? Even a little? Ryan looked at me with a complicated expression, then sighed. A guy with your looks, your job. How'd you end up so hung up on this one girl? You know what they say, man. If something's not meant to be, don't force it. That goes double for people. He clapped me on the shoulder. You've been her loyal protector for a decade with nothing to show for it. Isn't that the universe telling you it's time to let go? Yeah, I know. I had already decided to let her go. But breaking free from the role I was cast in felt like my heart was being carved out of my chest. All right, that's it, Ryan declared. I'm not going to let you wallow in this one-sided misery. I'm calling in reinforcements. 100 beautiful women coming right up. Before Ryan could even dial, a girl came rushing toward our table in a panic, knocking his phone straight into his glass of beer. A second later, she was in my arms. Ethan, help me, she whispered, her voice trembling. Some guy is harassing me. I froze, looking down at the person clinging to my waist, the alcohol haze starting to clear. I vaguely recognized her. Lily Morgan, Ryan's cousin, and a couple of years behind me in college. The men who had been chasing her saw us and backed off. The girl in my arms, however, pressed herself even closer. I was so scared, Ethan. Ryan rubbed his forehead and pulled Lily off me. You've got some nerve, you know that, he grumbled. What are you even doing here? Lily gave him a sycophantic grin. Hello. Were your eyes painted on? Didn't you see I was being chased? Ryan's face darkened, and Lily's bravado deflated. Okay, fine, she admitted. I overheard you on the phone with Ethan, so I followed you. Ryan shot me an exasperated look, then poked Lily in the head. You just ruined your senior's big night out. Lily sniffed. He doesn't need 100 beautiful women. One Lily Morgan is more than enough. She turned to me, her eyes bright. Right, Ethan? I didn't respond. I had a vague sense of Lily's intentions, but to me, she was just a kid, my friend's little cousin. Besides, she didn't deserve to be dragged into this messy story with its predetermined, unhappy ending. Suddenly, an intense itch spread across my skin. The alcohol allergy was kicking in, late, but with a vengeance. Oh my God, Ethan, your allergy is really bad. Lily cried out. She turned on her cousin. Ryan, this is all your fault. You know he can't drink, and you brought him here anyway. Ryan looked ready to protest, but I just glanced at his full, untouched glass and kept quiet. Lily dragged me out of the bar and straight to a pharmacy, not stopping until she had a tube of cream in her hand. You know, she said, gently dabbing the cream on my arm, when you hit a brick wall, you're supposed to turn around. If you keep banging your head against it, you just look, well, kind of dumb. She looked up at me. Besides, if you don't turn around, you'll never see the scenery that's been waiting behind you all along. I gently pulled my arm back. Lily, it's late. I should take you home. I had loved Chloe for so long. I was used to handling everything on my own. But Lily's simple act of care was a strange, unexpected warmth. A warmth that felt like it was starting to put down roots. 9. Chloe called while Lily was pestering me to win her a 3-foot-tall Lotso bear at a carnival game. I never understood why girls were so obsessed with that stuffed animal. Chloe loved them, too. Whenever we were out and she saw one, she'd refuse to leave until I won it for her. She'd go home happy, clutching it in her arms. By the time we got to the Sullivan's house, her father was in the middle of a tirade. Chloe, this is absolute nonsense. I will not accept anyone but Ethan as my son-in-law. No one. Chloe's voice was just as loud, filled with rage. How many times do I have to tell you? Ethan was the one who broke up with me. He was the one who refused to go to City Hall. I gave him a chance. What more could I do? Besides, she added, her voice rising, the person I've always loved is Leo, and whether you accept it or not, he's the one I'm going to be with. I paused at the door just as the sound of shattering porcelain came from inside. After my mom and dad divorced, I became the neighborhood stray, the kid with no one to look after him. It was Mr. Sullivan who took me under his wing, who became a second father to me. He taught me, comforted me, and guided me. In my heart, he was more of a father to me than my own. I strode into the room just as he was about to lash out at Chloe again. Mr. Sullivan, I said quickly, Chloe's telling the truth. Please don't blame her. I looked at him, forcing a calm I didn't feel. I'm the one who doesn't love her anymore. I'm sorry. I should have told you sooner. Mr. Sullivan let out a long, weary sigh. Ethan, don't cover for her. I know what she's like. He turned back to his daughter, his voice filled with disappointment as he recounted a litany of my past devotions. Waking up at 4 a.m. in the dead of winter to drive across town, just so you could have the donuts from that one bakery you mentioned the night before. Staying up all night with a time-lapse camera to capture that meteor shower, just because you said you wanted to see it. And just 3 months ago, when you were fooling around on that hiking trail and took a fall, Ethan broke his leg saving you. If it wasn't for him, you'd still be lying in a hospital bed. He looked at Chloe, his eyes pleading. Ethan has given you his whole heart. Your mom and I have seen it all these years. Why can't you see it? If you let a man like him go, you're going to regret it for the rest of your life. With every word he said, the memories flooded back. I never did those things for recognition or praise. I just wanted to make her happy. But hearing them listed out like that, a strange sense of injustice bloomed in my chest. I used to think my love for her was a happy burden, a pain I was glad to bear. But now that I'd had a taste of something sweeter, of being cared for in return, I couldn't go back to finding joy in misery. 10. The room fell silent. Chloe didn't argue or talk back, her silence an admission that everything her father said was true. Mr. Sullivan pointed to the stuffed bear in my arms. And look at that. That stupid bear you love so much. How many of those are piled up in your room? And which one of them didn't Ethan bring home for you? If he really didn't love you anymore, he finished, why would he still be bringing you these things? Chloe's eyes, red and teary, flickered to the lot-so bear. I didn't ask him to, she mumbled. Then, her pride returned, and she looked at me with her old arrogance. It doesn't matter, Ethan. It won't work anymore. You were the one who broke up with me, and I'm with Leo now. I hope you can be decent about it. Strangely, hearing those cutting words from her again didn't hurt as much. Before I could explain, Lily snatched the bear from my arms. I'm so sorry, Mr. Sullivan. I think there's been a misunderstanding, she said brightly. Ethan just won this for me down at the street fair. It's not for Miss Sullivan at all. My arm just got tired, so I asked him to hold it for me. As Lily's words sank in, Chloe's face went from white to red, a look of pure disbelief flashing in her eyes. You did this on purpose, didn't you, Ethan? She seethed. You tried to embarrass me. This is revenge for what happened with Leo, isn't it? No, I said simply. Chloe let out a cold, disbelieving laugh. Don't lie. You know Lotso is my favorite. You brought it here to my house. Your intentions couldn't be more obvious. You're not just cold-blooded, Ethan. You're vindictive, too. Her words still stung, but the wound was shallow now. It didn't matter what she thought anymore. You can only be hurt by people you care about. Chloe, I was really and truly over you. But Lily wasn't having it. You're a real piece of work, you know that? Lily shot back. Do you think you're the only person in the world who's allowed to like a pink stuffed bear? If Ethan gives one to someone else, it must be an act of revenge against you. That's not just logic, that's clinical narcissism. Chloe's face contorted with fury. This is my house, and this is my family's business. What does it have to do with you? Lily didn't back down an inch. Anything that has to do with Ethan has to do with me. And I won't let anyone slander him like that. Watching Lily defend me, a warmth spread through my chest. So this is what it felt like to be chosen, to be defended without hesitation. Chloe's words grew more vicious. Ethan, she's the reason, isn't she? Lily is the reason you suddenly backed out of getting the license. You were already cheating on me, pretending to be the good guy. She's the other woman, isn't she? My brow furrowed. When had Chloe become so unreasonable? That's enough, Chloe, I said, my voice sharp. Take out on me if you want, but don't you dare drag Lily into this. Chloe flinched as if I'd slapped her, and her anger flared even hotter. You're yelling at me? For her? And you still deny it. She pointed a trembling finger at me. You're the kind of person who wouldn't even save his own brother. No wonder Leo's mom can't stand you. My heart stopped. She knew exactly where to stick the knife. The same person who once told me I'd done nothing wrong was now telling me I deserved all the misery I got. Ethan, you... Stop it. A quiet but firm voice cut through Chloe's tirade. It was Leo, who had been silent this whole time. That's enough, Chloe, he said again. You got all wrong. The kind donor who saved me. That was my brother. And my mom. She doesn't hate him. Chloe froze, staring at him blankly. What did you just say? Leo looked from her to me. I said, the person who saved my life was Ethan. Chloe's face was a picture of shock. Him? But that's impossible. 11. I remember one time when I was 4, my dad disappeared for a week. I don't know if he was passed out drunk in some alley or off on another one of his benders. All I know is he forgot he had a kid at home who needed to eat. I got so hungry, I went outside to look for scraps. I just found a piece of a cookie when a group of kids my age surrounded me. They snatched it from my hand, calling me a little beggar, a trash picker. That wasn't enough for them. They started calling me a bastard, a stray that nobody wanted. At 4 years old, I wondered why I even existed if I didn't have parents who loved me like other kids did. When they hit me, I didn't fight back. I knew that without anyone to stand up for me, it would only get worse. That's when Chloe appeared. She pulled me out of that miserable existence. She told me to fight back, that I wasn't the one who was wrong. She took me to her house, where I met Mr. Sullivan. From that day on, the little boy named Ethan Pierce was never bullied again, because he knew he had to grow up strong enough to protect the girl named Chloe Sullivan. So that's why you fell so hard for her. Lily wiped a tear from the corner of her eye. I'm so jealous, Ethan. Why couldn't I have met you sooner? I would have taken you home. Silly Lily. Because the right person shows up at the right time. You don't actually like Lotso bears, do you? I said, looking at her. I remember Ryan telling me you're allergic to stuffed animals. They make you sneeze. So, you brought it into the house on purpose. Lily's eyes darted away. Well, if you want to conquer the castle, you have to scout the enemy first, she mumbled. I am sorry, Ethan. I couldn't help but smile, reaching out to gently pinch her cheek. She was so adorable. Don't be sorry. I wanted to thank you for standing up for me back there. It made me really happy. Our eyes met, and we both smiled. The weather was perfect today. Ethan, what's the meaning of this? Do you think it's funny to hide something like that from me? Unfortunately, the moment was interrupted. Chloe came storming up to us, demanding answers about the kidney donation. Chloe, I said calmly, I apologize for that. I shouldn't have kept it from you. My apology only seemed to make her angrier. Watch your tone, Ethan. Is a simple apology supposed to fix everything? What is wrong with you? Why have you changed so much? Have I changed? Or was it that nothing I ever did was good enough for her? I didn't know how to answer. For years, the only thing I could do was endure her moods. But this time, Lily stepped in front of me again. What kind of tone do you want? He gave his kidney to someone else, and he still has to apologize to you for it? Chloe, what do you think he is? A doormat. Chloe's eyes instantly welled up with tears. So what if he is? He likes doing things for me. You're just jealous, aren't you, Lily? I yanked a stunned Lily out of the way, just as a car, tires screeching, swerved and came to a halt in the exact spot where we had been standing. I held her trembling body close, patting her back gently. It's okay. You're safe. Lily looked up at me, her face pale, her voice small. Ethan, we were almost a tragic love story. Yeah, almost. I almost didn't even get the chance to tell her how I felt. She clung to me tighter, and a wave of delayed fear washed over me. Chloe, are you okay? A frantic voice pulled my attention away from Lily. It was then that I realized what I had overlooked. Chloe. She had been standing right next to me. My only instinct had been to pull Lily to safety. Even if we couldn't be together, I still owed it to the Sullivans to look after her. Chloe, are you hurt? I asked, my voice strained. I'm sorry, I didn't have time to. Chloe's gaze, when it met mine, was colder than I had ever seen it. She didn't respond to me. or to Leo, who was now by her side. After a long, tense moment, she said nothing, just pushed herself up and walked away. I didn't go after her. I just told Leo to get her checked out and to call me if anything was wrong. This ugly, tangled story between me and Chloe. It was finally over. 12. Chloe's perspective. After the incident with the car, Chloe locked herself away for days. She needed time to understand her own heart. Her phone buzzed incessantly. It was always him, the man she thought she loved. But looking at his name on the screen, she felt nothing. Only irritation, emptiness, and a gnawing anxiety. Because Ethan Pierce, the man who was always standing behind her, was gone. Not a single one of the missed calls was from him. Had he really given up on me? When she finally left her room, the first thing she did was find Leo. They sat in silence for a long time before she finally spoke, her voice hesitant. "I'm sorry, Leo. I don't think I actually like you." Leo wasn't surprised. He just gave her a small, sad smile. "I know." Seeing her confused look, he explained. "Because when you're with me, you're always rational, polite, distant. But with my brother, it's different. You let yourself have your little tempers. The emotions in your eyes are completely different." Chloe looked down at her hands. "I'm sorry, Leo. When we first got together, I was so happy. I thought I finally had everything I ever wanted. But my mind, it was always filled with memories of Ethan." Leo shook his head. "You don't have to apologize, Chloe. I had my own selfish reasons. My brother, he had a rough childhood. I know it was you and your parents who brought him warmth and love. You're incredibly important to him. I didn't want to be the reason for a rift between you. You thought you loved me because you built me up into this perfect idea in your head." He met her gaze directly. "But now you've realized that I'm not that special after all. That in your heart, I can't even compare to him, right?" It dawned on Chloe. "So from the very beginning, you got together with me on purpose? To make me realize who I truly loved?" Leo nodded. "Something like that. So I should apologize to you, too, for deceiving you." A storm of emotions brewed inside Chloe. Everyone around her knew she loved Ethan Pierce. Everyone but her. "You know," she said, her voice barely a whisper, "the moment he pulled Lily away and left me standing there. The feeling of being abandoned was so overwhelming I thought I would suffocate. But more than that, it was just disbelief. Ethan's heart doesn't belong to me anymore." The realization was sharper and clearer than anything she had ever known. "He used to always put me first. When did that change? When did he start protecting another woman instead of me?" I was furious. I wanted to scream at him. But watching him hold Lily, I felt like a clown. Panic set in. And then regret. How could he abandon me? During the first accident, he was right there. During the second, he was even closer. But he didn't even reach out a hand to me. He was too busy making sure Lily was okay. It was like I didn't even exist. One moment, I was mocking Lily for being jealous of me. The next, she was the object of my own frantic, desperate envy. "Ethan, I regret it. I finally, truly know what it means to regret." 13. The night was dark and cold. Lily swung our joined hands as we walked. "Ethan," she chirped, "that fish at dinner was amazing. You have to take me back there again sometime, okay?" I smiled, about to answer, when I saw a figure huddled by my front door. In the dead of winter, Chloe was curled into a small ball, her face buried in a thick scarf. When she heard my voice, she slowly looked up. The dim porch light illuminated her face. Her nose and cheeks were red from the cold, and her eyes were swimming in tears. "Ethan," her voice was hoarse and wounded, like a lost kitten. "What are you doing here?" "Ethan, I was wrong," she choked out. "Please don't leave me. Let's get back together." The hand in mine squeezed tightly. I instinctively squeezed back, a silent reassurance to its anxious owner. "Chloe, I don't love you anymore," I said, my voice gentle but firm. "The person who holds my heart now, it isn't you. We can be family, we can be friends, but we can never go back." Her tears flowed faster now, and she stumbled to her feet. "You promised," she cried. "You promised you would always be there behind me, waiting for me to come home. I'm turning around now. Why are you leaving me?" Seeing her like this, I was struck by the strange turns life takes. I used to think that whether she wanted me or not, my life would be defined by my love for her. But now I knew differently. I craved being cherished, being cared for, being seen. "I am sorry, Chloe. I broke my promise. She shook her head, sobbing uncontrollably. I don't want your sorry. I just want my Ethan back. She started hitting my chest, her fists weak and desperate. Then she turned toward Lily. Instinctively, I moved to shield her. Chloe froze, her expression the same as it was on the day of the near accident. She stared at me for a long moment, a new wave of pain washing over her face. You think I would hurt her, she stated. It wasn't a question. She didn't need my answer. Her tears started falling again. I just took one wrong turn. Why don't I even get a chance to come back, she whispered. I found you when you were 4 years old. You followed me for so many years. I thought you would always be there when I turned around. Her voice rose to a strangled shout. Ethan, how are you going to make this up to me? After her outburst, she crumpled back into a heap, her body shaking. My heart was a tangled mess of emotions. The Chloe I knew was proud, bossy, and a little spoiled. This desperate, broken version of her was someone I never thought I'd see. But things had changed. I couldn't betray the person who had pulled me out of the mire. Chloe, the person I love now is Lily, I said softly. You don't stir anything in my heart anymore. You should go. Her shaking stopped. She looked up, her eyes red and raw. Ethan, there's really no future for us, is there? No. There's nothing left. She closed her eyes, squeezing out one last tear. After a moment, she stood up again, her gaze lingering on our clasped hands. Then she stumbled away into the darkness. Just before she disappeared from view, she turned back one last time. Lily, she called out, her voice thin in the cold air. You found a good one. I'm jealous of you. Lily pressed closer into my side. Then you could just stay jealous, she said, just loud enough for me to hear. 14. After Chloe left, the wind felt even colder, more biting. But the hand in mine was a steady, radiating warmth. Lily, I'm sorry. Before I could finish, she covered my mouth with her hand. Say you love me again, she demanded, her eyes smiling. In that moment, all the lingering bad feelings evaporated, replaced by a pure, uncomplicated happiness. All I could see was the girl in front of me. A flicker of insecurity hit me. I'm not a great person. Lily pouted and poked my cheek. Nobody's perfect. You don't have to be. But she buried her face in my chest, her voice muffled. Ethan, why don't you get it? I love you. All of you. Every part. All of you. Every part. Such sweet words. Lily, I think I regret not meeting you sooner, too. Lily, I said, a smile spreading across my face. That fish from the restaurant? Turns out I know how to make it. I think you're going to be eating very well from now on. Her head popped up from my chest, her eyes wide with delight. She grabbed my arm and started pulling me toward the house. Well, what are we doing standing out here in the cold for? I'm suddenly hungry again. Let's go home and eat. The frigid wind held around us, but the warmth in my heart only grew stronger. Lily Morgan, I said into the night, I love you. The smile on the face of the person leading me home grew impossibly wider. Epilogue. Chloe ran a red light again. This time, she wasn't so lucky. Fortunately, after emergency surgery, her life was saved. Unfortunately, she lost both her legs. She would never walk again.